Good morning, all, and welcome to the Daily Whatever Show. I am Dana Dubois, and I am co-hostless for a few minutes. My partner in crime, Lawrence Winterman, is very ill today. I called him briefly, and his voice sounded about like this. So he will sadly not be joining us this morning for the show, but our amazing moderator, Karen Marie Shelton, has agreed to come on and act as co-host this morning. So I'm going to invite her. This isn't in StreamYard today, so I'm going old school style, just on Substack, which means I need to add Karen. It's funny, Karen, it always pulls you as the third Karen when I do this. And I don't know why. You should be the first Karen, always. But Karen is going to come on, stepping out of her normal role as moderator and in as my co-host. While we're waiting for her, I'm going to join the live over here. Hello, Yanni. You will notice we are not on... Hi, Karen. We're not on YouTube today because we're not in StreamYard. So you are released from your moderating duties on YouTube today. Karen, my dear friend, how are you?
I'm good. Hello, everybody. I asked Yanni, I sent him a message as soon as I
Oh,
got your message and asked him if
good.
he would please step into my shoes today. And he agreed. He's a sweetheart. Thank you so much, Yanni. You do such a great job. Doesn't he do a
Yeah.
great job on YouTube?
Yes, I am. I'm not the one moderating I don't keep up with the YouTube as much, but whenever I see there's conflict, I'm always like, yes, Yanni is on it. And it
He
makes me
is. He's
very,
amazing.
very happy. Um, Hold on, I'm going to talk again. I think I'm hearing feedback of my own voice. Is anybody else hearing that too? I'm not sure. Or maybe it's just feedback of Kira's voice, but I don't think so. Okay, I'm coming over here to join the chat. Yeah, Karen, if you have, I think it's coming through, you have a headset maybe? Oh, you're on earbuds.
I
Oh,
am now. Is that helping?
that 100% fixed it. So,
Okay.
yay.
Yeah, earbuds. Yeah. Yeah. I've got my notebook next to me because I know you sent me questions, but I actually have questions about the topic today because I read your essay last night. I read your memoir. It's amazing. So I can ask
Hey,
questions you want, but I also have my own questions. So let me know when you're
I
ready, what you want to do.
I love it. Well, let's maybe set up the premise here and let me give Kira her dog treat because if I don't, she's just gonna protest. She's right here behind me on her little bed. Say hi to Kira, everybody.
Hi,
Um,
Kira.
I also, hang on a second. There she goes. Sponsored by Nature Gauze. I also,
Nature Nas.
yeah, I set the live up a little differently because usually Lawrence does it. And I'm doing a bit of a test, Karen. Um, when you set up a live in Substack, if you have multiple publications as I do, you can either send it to everyone or you can send it to subscribers of a publication, either paid or all. And I almost set this up as everyone, and then on impulse, I set it up to all subscribers of the Daily Whatever Show. So we may be a smaller broadcast today. I don't know what it does, and I was like, this seems like a good day to test, right?
Why not? I
Why
mean, why
not?
not? Let's try it out.
Right? So
Yeah.
everybody here is a subscriber, free or otherwise. So thank you all for being here. And
Yeah. Thank you.
I think a lot of you know this, but I'm gonna give a bit of a preface that the Daily Whatever Show is one of my publications here on Substack. It is, of course, the podcast that I do with Lawrence. We are nearly a year old. April 24th is our birthday, so we're starting to talk about birthday celebrations, Lawrence and I. Lawrence is sick today, for those of you who may have missed it at the beginning. So if you want to send him well wishes, please do, at least in your mind, put out to the universe healing wishes for our dear friend Lawrence. He sounded awful this morning. And but my primary publication, kind of the Dana Dubois Writes area, I call I Write Out Loud, and it's where I do my memoir writing. And it is pretty new. I launched I Write Out Loud in early February. I post a couple of essays a week and I go live twice a week to talk about the essays. And then I go live again on Sunday with paid subscribers to do a Sunday salon where we kind of dive into the deeper cultural questions brought up by these essays. And they are essays both big and small. Or sorry, big and small is not what I meant. They're essays both from my archive and new. And the one today is a brand new essay. And I always have this kind of giddy feeling when I launch a new essay in the world because I am not fast. I am not a fast writer in any way. It is extremely methodical and kind of hard one. I have to really go in my head. And the one that I posted today has been in the works up here for months and the works here for weeks. And it's actually going to be two essays. The original one I was wrestling with that I couldn't quite figure out. I was like, oh, I can't do this because it's two essays. So this is going to be the first. The second one, hopefully, is coming next week. There is some background. So actually, I'm going to put a link in the chat to I Write Out Loud to where my primary home is here on Substack. If you if you are a lover of short stories, memoirs, personal essays, I invite you to follow. But also these essays are connecting the dots for bigger cultural conversations most of the time. And if that sounds interesting to you, I also welcome you to follow me. I would love if you would subscribe over there as well. And today's essay is certainly going to be a cultural conversation because it was inspired by things that topics that have both happened to me and that I see like every freaking reel and like online dating hot take um, thought leader, what do you call influencer? That's the word I'm looking for.
Exactly.
Is talking about this topic. It seems. I think I need to take a few sips of my tea, Karen. While I do
Okay.
that, um, I realize I'm monologuing here. I think most folks know you by name from the chat, but perhaps haven't seen you. Why don't you go ahead and introduce what your Substack is all about? Because you are really ramping up on your writing, and yeah, I bet people would be very interested to hear about what you're doing.
Well, thank you, Dana. Dana, blah, blah. I kind of, this was kind of a fly by the seat of your pants. So
I know.
what I'm very
Karen joined
honored.
like 15. I asked Karen like 15 minutes ago to join,
I'm
which is
so
why we're both
honored
like,
to do this. I'm so honored to do this. And as a side note to everybody's watching, I've been writing my memoirs lately. I decided I was inspired by Dana. And Dana, by the way,
yeah,
got her inspiration from one of our Crone cocktail hour chats 2 months ago, where we
yes.
were talking about setting your intention for what you really wanted to do with your life. It could be writing or anything. And Dana said, I want to write my memoirs and put them all in one place. And I want to build an audience for that. And so she said, I'm going to develop my own Substack. And she did. She called it I Write Out Loud. It's amazing.
Thank you.
And she's very engaged with the people who subscribe to her. And she has her Sunday salon where if you are a paid subscriber, you can come and she talks to you about the juice, the tea behind the essay that she's writing. It's really fabulous and fascinating. And you really get to know a side of Dana that you don't see on the lives. And I've been coming to the Daily Whatever since day one. And the
Yes,
reason I
Karen has
did,
never missed an episode, y'all.
and I'm wearing
Never
my
missed an
whatever
episode.
shirt today. You probably can't see it because I'm
Oh, I
sort
can't
of
see
low
it.
down. Okay. But anyway, I'm wearing it.
Good.
And the reason I came was to the Daily Whatever
Yeah.
was because I knew Dana on Medium, where I used to write, and I would write some memoirs. I wrote true crime. I write about astrology. I'm sort of multifaceted with my writing because I have
You
ADHD,
are.
I guess, or ADD or something. But
No,
she
you're
thought,
just a multi-hyphenate, Karen. And I am
okay,
going to pause you here. I love all of this backstory. And this is so you, Karen, because you are so generous. I want to hear about your writing.
okay. Well,
So, like, give a
one
couple minutes
quick
of like how you're growing on Substack, because I really see you doing a lot of interesting new work.
Okay, quick note. Anyway, so Dana got me boosted on Medium, and for that, I am so loyal, and I'm the most loyal person in the world. So when I saw her on Substack, I jumped on, and I have never jumped off. And when she started her Write Out Loud, I was there. I can't always be there every single time, but I try. I read every essay. Who I am, I've been writing since I don't even remember when I had my first set of crayons, I guess, and I could print. But I've been writing my whole life. I've made my living as a writer. It was mostly in the software industry where I would do technical marketing or technical documentation, or, I did some coding, but mostly I was paid very well as a technical writer type, which was a different type of writing. And I've been on Medium for over 7 years, writing off and on. But when I got to Substack 2 years ago, didn't know what I wanted to write. So I started writing true crime. I started writing about political issues. And recently, inspired by Dana, I started my own, it's behind the paywall, and mainly because it's so raw. I'm writing about my childhood and what sort of shaped me as a child. And it's very intense, very raw, it's very emotional. And so I put it behind the paywall because I don't really want everybody to see it. It might be upsetting to them, And so that was my thinking. But anyway, I want to switch back to you, Dana, because I read your essay last night, or memoir, whichever you prefer. And the title is You're Not Anxiously Attached, He's Avoidant. But here's the kicker line that caught me. I mean, I caught my breath. It says, what happens when his attachment style becomes your diagnosis? I said,
Yep.
oh my God, this is a new form of blaming everything on the woman. And I just
Yes.
read the whole thing from the first word to the end. I had so many questions for you. And
Good.
then when you asked me this morning to jump on and you said, well, I have some questions I said, okay, well, I'll look at your questions, but I already have 2 pages of questions.
Oh my
So
gosh. Well, I'm ready I'm hopefully ready to answer these. I also want to put in a small pitch. The publication is called I Write Out Loud, both because um, it's an act of audacity in challenging political times. It's important to focus on your art, whether it's music or drawing or writing, and not let this regime take that away from you and from all of us who benefit from it. But I also see storytelling as a path forward, because that's how you win hearts and minds, right? So, and the other reason it's called I Write Out Loud is because there's a lot of out loud happening. I read each of my essays. So if you prefer to listen, instead of reading, you can either listen to the AI voice that Substack automatically generates, or you can listen to me read my own stories, because I wanted them to be heard the way I intended them to be read. And also because I go live to talk about each of these essays. So it's kind of funny. I'm going to do this one here on the Daily Whatever Show, but then it will be on I Write Out Loud live at 4 p.m. my time tomorrow, so 7 p.m. East Coast time. I will host this again with, or something similar. But I'm never being interviewed. It's just me talking and answering questions about the essay. I will do my best to answer questions here in our chat today as well. I I already put it in there. See, I don't even know what I'm doing this morning. But this essay, I'm so excited to talk about. Ask your questions. Ask the questions I sent you. Do you want me to provide a little synopsis of what this is about at the
yes,
start? 'Cause-
yes, but before you do,
yeah,
I have been waiting for this essay
yeah,
because you have been doing an arc. You don't just randomly put storylines out there. You build an arc, like you built on your father and your relationship with your father, and then taking your 2 daughters to see your father. And it was a beautiful arc where you started at the beginning and there's a through line all the way through,
yep.
and you finish up, and it's you pose such important questions about, raising teenage daughters, dealing with a father who'd been abusive, dealing with a parent who's been abusive. And you wrap it all up. And I love the way you do that. But then
Thank you.
you pepper things with experiences you've had as you were married, you were divorced, and now you've been dating. You've had your experiences in your love life, which you also take us through all of that. And you've been talking about what you're experiencing as a Gen X woman in your 50s, although you don't look a day over 40. And I mean, and I
It's the
hate you
Botox,
because
Karen.
you look beautiful.
Thank you.
I hate you, but you talk
Oh,
about all your experiences, and it's so important because so many women, there's a sense of isolation today. People are lonely.
yes.
And you open your heart and your soul and you tell people, this is what I'm
Oof.
experiencing with men in dating in my love life. And so you were kind of hinting about this avoidance, about attachments, about anxiety attachments.
Yep.
And being in the dating world can be such an anxiety experience, anxiety producing. So
Yes.
go ahead and give your synopsis, but I've been waiting for this one. And so when I saw it last night, I stopped what I was doing and read it.
Oh,
So go
good.
ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
good. Oh, good. I love that you're saying last night because I'm like, it didn't go live till this morning. So but I know you wake up really early.
Well, it was 3 o'clock in the morning my time, so I saw it. I saw it.
Really?
Right when it popped up, I saw it.
Okay.
So maybe I shouldn't say last night. Maybe I should say in the wee hours of the morning because I do get up at 3 or 3:30 to write, and I
Yeah.
saw it shortly after I got up. So
Yeah.
maybe night is not the best time. Okay.
Suzanne is commenting on my mug too. I'm glad that you like it, Suzanne. Lenny Mudd makes the best mugs. Um, so yes. Okay. So let me give a brief synopsis of this story and kind of how it came to be. Um, I'm trying to decide how far back to go on it, but I'll start here. I It's very much in the zeitgeist right now that folks are talking about attachment and different attachment styles when it comes to dating. Um, like all you have to do is, well, ask one question about it, and then every reel you get across Instagram and Facebook will be on this topic. And um, they are real terms in psychology, but I feel like they have been co-opted by online influencers to mean something different than they might mean to a therapist. And what I keep seeing over and over is a very gendered presentation. Even though it's not intentional, like anyone of any gender can have any attachment style. It's based on your upbringing. But what I keep seeing in dating is stuff about avoidant men, how to date your avoidant man, how to do this and that, and how to win your avoidant man back. And to a lesser extent, anxious women. I'm seeing that more like in personal posts versus reels about it, because it's gendered, right? The men are the avoidant ones and the women are the anxious ones. What I haven't seen a lot of is the fact that these two are like yin and yang. Um, the anxiety is not coming out of nowhere. And so one is feeding the other. And where it got there's obviously personal stories that I have related to this, and there's one that I reference in this story. In the follow-up story, there'll be another one. Um, and in the original draft of this, there was a great quote from Lawrence, because when I was dating a man who, um, we had a conversation early on about our attachment styles, and he was referring to me as being anxiously attached because I was having a lot of anxiety while dating him. And Lawrence said, I paraphrase, "You're not anxiously attached. He's just being an asshole." And that was the original working title. You're not anxious attached. He's just an asshole. I may still use it in a note because I do think it's a really good way to frame this conversation.
It
Um,
is. It's
and
excellent. Yeah.
Thank you. And there's two other kind of key points that this essay touches on that your questions probably will too. The first, it takes a bit of a detour. And I start a Spanish lesson. I took Spanish in high school.
I love that detour. I love it. It's
Bear with
so
me because it's
good.
relevant.
Okay, it's so good.
Thank you. So in English, we have one form of to be, the passive verb. I am, am is our passive verb. In Spanish, there are two forms of the verb to be, ser and estar. And for an English speaker, when you're first studying Spanish, it's really hard to wrap your brain around like that you can use yo soy, yo estoy. They both mean I am, but they mean different things. And to me, it speaks to how a Spanish speaker's brain is wired, that they see passive state in two different ways. And at its simplest, Estoy, the verb estar, um, refers to temporary state. Things like I am hungry, I am hot, I am irritable, things that happen to you and then go away. Where ser is more about who you are, it's your identity. I am a woman, I am short, things that are immovable, although gender moving a little these days for some people, but that's another story. And so ser, estar, are talking about I am in very different ways. And I'm using that framework to talk about anxious and avoidant attachment in dating. And what I mean by it is if you take it on as your ser, your identity, then if you say I am anxious, I have anxious attachment, it's yours and you own it, right? It is just a part of
Yes.
who you are.
Yes.
And it will follow you from relationship to relationship. Whereas if you say, I feel anxious, it's temporary, it's related to the situation, and it's a signal. And it should be alerting, I'm going to say women in this case, because that's the point of view of this essay and who I think this mostly is impacting. It should alert you there's something wrong here, and you should be mindful of it. But instead, because we're women, and when there's something we want, we tend to internalize it. We tend to um, flip it toward us and say, what am I doing wrong? I must, I must be anxiously attached. There's language out here now. We're pathologizing it when really it's it's a good thing. If you are a securely attached person, when you feel anxiety, that's your body telling you, alert, alert, what's happening is not matching. You've seen this pattern before, and you should be careful. I am monologuing, and so I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to let you ask me questions. But this is me setting up the essay. We haven't gotten to the term I've coined yet, which is commit bomb. It's the commit
Yes.
bomb that frequently triggers the anxiety eventually. But we're going to get into that in the questions. So
Okay. Well, I
take it
have so
away.
many
I'm going to sit
questions.
back and
So many
let you ask me.
questions. Okay, so first of all, do you watch any of the reality dating shows
I
like
do not.
uh, Love is Blind? It's
I have
very
not.
popular. It's very
I know.
popular.
I'm
I
aware of
watch
them,
it.
but I don't watch them.
It's the only one I watch. Oh, I used to watch Love Island for a while too, but that was just ridiculous. But Love is Blind is also ridiculous, but from a viewpoint of they do talk a lot about attachment styles in
Oh,
that
that makes
show.
sense.
And not as much as they used to, but what I notice is the whole premise is if there's a problem in the relationship, it seems to point to that the woman is too needy,
Oh,
that
yeah, of
and
course.
and when you talk about when one there's so many things about it. When you talk about what happens when his attachment style becomes your diagnosis, all of a sudden
Yes.
it's flipped to you're the problem. You're the one who has
Yes.
the problem. And if you're in a relationship where it's two people who are trying to build something together, that's what I take to mean as a relationship. What do you take to mean as a relationship?
Right. Um, a relationship is it's interesting, there's sort of 3 parts to it, because there's the 2 individuals, and then there's the entity that they're building together, right? That's how I see a relationship, and in a in the case of this essay that I've written, I'm talking about pretty early dating, so that 3rd entity that you're building together is tenuous, right?
Yes, yes.
And you are learning one another. Um, I am sure there could be volumes written about being in partnership with an avoidant attachment person as well. The case studies in my mind and the things I'm reading about online range from like just the people relationships that last only for a few dates, so very short ones, to maybe up to 6 months. Like early relationship, and you are still building together. And it's in this early phase that I'm seeing this new phenomenon called commit bombing that we're going to start about where, what, I'm just going to define it now because I feel like it'll be
Yeah, I think you
relevant.
should. It's perfect. It's perfect for you to
It
talk
was
about
hard.
it.
The original name, I tried to remember what it was. It was like 3 words long as I was trying to describe what it is. It was like premature, relationship. I don't remember. Commit bomb is catchy. And here's what a commit bomb looks like. It is actually, let me back up for a minute and then we'll get into what a commit bomb looks like. So, online dating is miserable. I don't know how many folks in the chat are looking for love online, but it is miserable. And yes, Yanni, this is a great t-shirt idea.
Yanni's amazing. Isn't he doing a great job? In fact, he made a comment, if you want,
Yes.
I can slide it in, where he said, boys, not men,
Mm.
always find a way to blame women for everything.
Yep. And I think
Is
we women do it to ourselves too,
Yeah,
because
because of that.
we've been
Yeah,
trained to take responsibility, right?
yeah,
So, it is, I like to joke that there are many fish in the sea if one is a guppy, but if one is not, it is hard to find your fish, as
that's
a
a good
metaphor.
saying. That is a good metaphor,
Yes.
yeah.
And
Yeah, very
so,
good.
dating to me is a vetting phase, right? Where you're like, "Oh, okay, no, 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 no on these people, but here are a few that might be yeses." But then it's usually by this age pretty easy to sort of like not a fit, right? So when I see someone and I'm like, that person looks like a potential match for me, I can recognize it very quickly. I'm a pretty good read of character.
You are very
And I am, although I've made lots of mistakes, but I like to think I'm a good read of character. And I am very monogamous by nature, and I'm looking for a relationship. So one of my beta readers on this essay, a friend who read it, is non-monogamous and had lots of questions and issues with the way it's written. And I'm like, I think that you need to read this from the perspective of the narrator, who is me, a
Yes.
woman looking for a relationship in
It's
a
your
in a very,
experience. It's your
yes,
experience.
in an almost hostile environment. And so when I meet a guy and there's that connection there at the beginning, I am ready pretty quickly to be like, let's just see if this has legs. It's not me being like, let's move in together and get married. It's but I am quite ready very quickly to be like, I'm not looking anymore because I am focused on you. And so what a commit bomb is, it's adjacent to love bombing. Love bombing is known across the internet, right? That's when a guy comes on really hard and fast and like buys you gifts and smothers you with attention and is very like all in at the start and then poof disappears
Yeah.
quickly. It's a love bomb.
Right.
They come in, they come
Yes.
out.
Yes.
But a love bomb, I think of it more in terms of like flattery and gifting and things that I'd like to think I could see through pretty easily, of just like hyper affection very quickly. A commit bomb is adjacent but different. And what a commit bomb looks like is when a guy right away is like, I've taken down my profile. I want to focus on you. Another form of commit bomb I've seen is the guy, shows up for date two and is like, here's my clean STI test. I went and got tested for you.
Oh my
Like, I want
gosh.
to be exclusive is the message behind that. And of
Yes.
course, underlining that is like, I want to take the condoms off. I want to be monogamous with you. Um,
Remove the condoms. I like that.
yeah,
Remove the condoms. Yes.
I mean, that's what that means when they show up with these tests, right? Um, and I was trying to think of an expression and couldn't quite have like, um, I'm taking down my dating profile is the new X. But it used to mean something where if, you're dating for a while and then you have a conversation like, let's take down our profiles. And it's like, was the best feeling, right? You're like, whew, I get to put that away, baby, forever. Let's put this down and focus on each other. Um, Commit bomb is a man who wants the trappings of exclusivity, who wants to kind of come in and like create this explosion of intent, right? It's saying, I recognize, this is what it says to me. I recognize you. I am like-minded to you in that I'm looking for a relationship, and I already see enough in you that I want to try. And that I am like very susceptible to that because, as I said, that's how my brain works too. Like when it has happened, it's been with men who I'm like, I'm so glad you recognize in me what I recognize in you. And I have had it be real before. In the essay, I talk about, like, when I went to go meet the man who would go on to become my husband, now ex-husband. But I said to my girlfriend from the car, like, I'm on my way to go meet my future husband. Like, it's such a strong feeling. And I won't negate the power of that. Of sometimes you can know. But what I'm seeing personally, and what I'm seeing just like on threads, I have seen so many threads about this of these men who come in and are like, "You're the one for me," and they act out relationship for a very short time. And then as they leave like, "Oh, well, how could you have taken this?" Poof, they're gone because how could you have taken this serious? It was so new. And it again kind of turns the tables on you. This is related to the essay I wrote about asking ChatGPT to help me read cues in dating because I needed a validation source external to me because I knew I had human biases to say, "You're right, this is changing dramatically in tone and intensity." It was related to this idea of a commit bomb, of a guy who comes in and um, wants to capture your attention for reasons. And I'm going to write another essay about commit bombing because I have a few um, notions about what the reasons tend to be. But for the purposes of this essay, it causes anxiety, intense anxiety, when you are initially told, "I am in and I want a relationship with you." And it's establishing this intensity and pace early on. And then you pretty quickly start getting these signals that it's not real.
So you're being basically penalized for who you are as a person. And because of society today, and also one of my questions for you, you
Yep.
mentioned a person, you mentioned a male in this essay
Yes,
that
Jason.
you're talking about Jason, yes. And you build a lot around the experience that you share about
Yes.
Jason. Yes, Jason.
Yes.
Um, I wanted to ask one of the questions I wanted to ask, and you sent me some lovely questions, but I've read all your essays and I could talk to you when we do talk periodically about, the daily whatever, our crone chat. I could talk to you for hours. I
Yes.
have so many questions for you. So do you think that the commit bombing is just another form of love bombing that men are using as a manipulation against women?
Um, I do think it's adjacent to love bombing, yes. And I do think that it's a convenient way for avoidantly attached men to perform relationship as it serves them for a few days, for a few months. It establishes a connection quickly. Gets them access to um, I'm going to say but I mean all women's my uh, my heart, my body, my emotional intelligence. It gets them access to relationship level um, goodness, but it's performative. Um,
So they're
so
jumping the line. They're jumping the line. It's like
yeah,
instead of doing the work that's required between the two of you and this third entity, this relationship that you're building, they
yes,
bypass all that, pretend like they're already there. But
yes.
then as it intensifies and it gets too hot for them or too commitment y for them, they bail. Is that basically it?
Once there's weight on the relationship, they bail. So what I
That's
would
a good
say
word.
is,
Wait. Yeah.
yes, it's like they're getting cast in a role without reading the script or auditioning. They're plunking themselves in role. It is a shortcut. So
They're cheating.
I do take it. Yeah, well,
In a
if
way,
it's
they're
done,
cheating. They're cheating
yes,
the relationship, right?
if it's done with bad intent. Like I said, sometimes relationships do start this way, and it can be an authentic way to start. That third entity that's being created in a relationship, the two people, and then the relationship that they're building together. Um, I'm choosing my words carefully here. It's um, it's an act of, it's a leap of faith to jump in without time spent and trust earned. It's a leap of faith on both parts, and I take ownership of this in my essay. That when two people agree very quickly that they are in relationship, um, there is really no substitute for time spent. But to me, it's a way of saying, we're gonna spend that time only focused on one another and not concurrent with other people as we're, like, dating other people. That's the way I prefer to date. It is outside of the typical norms now. Um, And one like, when it's locked down that way disingenuously, it tends to erode quickly. And I shouldn't even use erode, it tends to explode rather quickly, because
Because you're sensitive to it? Because you, Dana, are much more sensitive to what's happening? Is that why, do you think?
yeah, and I think women in general, especially by midlife, are in tune with patterns. And so, things wherever things start, there's a cadence, there's a pace that gets established,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Maybe it's that like we talk all day, every day. That can happen. Or maybe it's like, we always talk first thing in the morning and in the evenings and or, on their lunch break, they always call me. Whatever it is, you establish a cadence.
Yes. Yes.
And when you are building this relationship entity, you check in with one another and you make sure that cadence is working. Um, but it tends to stay stable or to grow if it's a good relationship. And so when things like that get pulled out, even though it can seem very silly to be like, I didn't get a good morning text. I didn't hear from you this morning. It's like, well, you're just checking your phone too much. You're just being
Oh,
paranoid
then it's
and you're
thrown
being
back on you.
anxious.
It's
It's
back
back
on
on
you.
you.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
is small to say like this text was missing, but it's also a signal, right? Of like, hey, we were doing this before and now you're not. And if it's just that, well, we can work with that. But it tends to be a pattern. Um, and once you see it, it can spiral you out, right? So um, it is anxiety producing if you are a secure attached person who wants to be able to rely on the things that the two people are building into the relationship.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
as it starts to be pulled away or the person becomes more erratic or withdrawn, um, like this is one of the points of the essay, so I'm going to say it right to the camera. Like you're not being anxiously attached for noting the pattern and responding to it. It feels like anxiety in your body because that's a situation that causes anxiety. It's normal that you're anxious. It's signal that you're anxious and you should pay attention to it. And you should not let anyone negate your experience, including yourself, by saying like, I'm anxious attachment. I need to learn to manage this.
Right.
What you need to do is question it and say, am I overreacting? For a moment, you can question that. You can ask trusted friends who may know you well, like I
Like
did with
Lawrence. Like
Lawrence,
Lawrence. Yeah.
to say like,
He's that guy's
no,
an asshole. That guy's an
yeah, that
asshole.
guy's just being an asshole. It's normal you're anxious about this. And we need to quit pathologizing women who are responding in really normal ways to some of the pretty catastrophically bad behavior that we see in the dating ecosystem,
It is
right?
bad. It
And
is.
one
And
of those things is a commit bomb. And I'm being a little tongue in cheek with that
no, I like that. I
expression.
like that term. It's really good. Isn't it, in your mind, though, a form of very toxic gaslighting?
Mm,
Or would you differentiate?
I'm always careful when I use the word gaslight because I feel like that's another word that has a specific meaning. It means torture, right? It's a form of military torture that people come to just equate with lying.
Okay.
It becomes gaslighting when someone is questioning your full-on view of reality. So, yeah, I suppose this can be a form of gaslighting if you, as the one being who is noticing patterns that are creating anxiety, if the man on the other side of it is like, "Well, you're just anxious attached. Nothing bad is going on here." Even as they're pulling away, then yes, that is a form of gaslighting over time. I will accept your definition there, Karen.
Okay, it's a little bit.
You're right.
Do you want to talk about Jason? Because you talk about Jason. Do you want to talk more about it? For people who haven't read the essay yet, and by the way, everybody, please go read it. I mean, it's
Thank you.
amazing. It really
Thank
is good,
you.
Dana. Well, I listen to you as well when you read out loud. I do go and listen to you, and I don't use the AI voice because I want to hear you talking your
Thank you.
essay.
Yeah, I'm
But
not on my mics today, but here's my microphone.
yes, yes. But you
I'm
want to
just
talk
using
about Jason somewhat and how
Yeah.
he plays into this.
Yeah, it was, I always I always like to use my lived experience as the, kind of the emotional hook, and then to bring it out to the broader cultural question. I feel like if I only write about the personal situation, it takes a lot to extrapolate it out of what I'm trying to say sometimes. And if
Yeah,
I only write like, this could have been written as a straight up personal essay,
right.
but I think it lacks the heart. And so in this essay, I reference Jason, not his real name, um, who I was on a very early date with. I think it was our second date, or it was like a first real date. I think we'd met for coffee, and then this was our first date. Um, and in that date, it's not in the essay. He had said, "I've taken down my profile. I want to focus on you." And there's an incident that happens where I get a text from my child, and they're very worried. They've done something egregious, and they're telling me about it. Um, and I turned the phone instinctively because I'm sure my face did. I knew my face had shown some expression, and so did his. I turned it, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's going to judge me because that's my family of origin, right? Oh, I'm going to be in trouble for this." And he just looked at me and was like, "Wow, she trusts you so much." Like, his whole face, like, went warm and lit up. He was also a parent, and, like, I just melted, and it was such a trust-building, moment. Like, of course I attached to that. Um, in relationship, when you're building that 3rd entity, like, one of the most important parts is consistency, and the other, like, non-negotiable part is feeling seen, and feeling seen for the things you wanna be seen for. Um, and I could
And
not have felt as
motherhood is a very important thing to you, and you work
Mhm.
very hard at it. It's like that's where you really, really put all your love and energy. You're 2 girls. So for
Yeah.
him to see that and acknowledge that, wow,
Yes.
right?
That this was a person who wasn't like, "Oh my god, your kid did what?" Or, "Wow, you must be a really terrible mom that you're not yelling at her," or, like, "How did you get" whatever it was. It was admiration and just this sort of almost sense of awe of, like, him admiring and, like, clearly respecting me for this role that is, like, the most important role in my life. So, remember in the movie Amelie where she just, like, she turns into water and falls to the ground? It was kind of like that, and this is one of the hardest parts of modern dating. This is one of the hardest parts of modern dating. It sounds a little Miss Voice of a Generation, but
No,
truly
but
it
it's
is
important to know
that
because so many people are
yeah,
struggling right now. So,
it's so hard because if you are like me, and I think a lot of people are, you want your heart, like, fully engaged, and you want that, like, the spark, right? You want to feel, um you wanna be able to give into that really intense sense of connection, chemistry, early love, that limerence, whatever you wanna call it, that's forming, a and also you have to keep this part of your brain, of yourself, really alert and looking for signals and cues to make sure it's a safe place to be. Because ultimately, if you're looking to build a relationship, you can't only pick people you have, like, chemistry with because you may be picking a person who's not a good fit for you at all, right? So you need to keep both of those sides intact is very tricky. Um, and it makes women like me really susceptible to a commit bomb when and I don't, to be clear, I don't think Jason was acting. It really was a sincere response. And I do think he's a good person. He's just a deeply avoidant person. And I say in the story, when he was present, he was incandescent. It was true, but he was rarely present enough. And that became the avoidant part, right? The I want this connection. I want to be with you, but I want it only on my terms. And what tends to make the commit bomb explode is when um, the person on the other side of it, which is usually the woman, puts any weight on the newly building relationship and says, "I have needs. This is making me feel like this." In the case of this person, it was like, "You need to be consistent. You need to show up. You need to communicate with me." I'm unsurprisingly very communication driven, both the written word and the spoken word. Like, I need to feel very connected to the person I am building a relationship with. And part of it is circumstantial. Parenting means half the time I'm not available for early dating. I can only communicate, you know, this way or this way, um, because I'm with my children. So I rely on texting and phone calls to stay connected and to start establishing trust. And I don't feel like that's a very high need. It's not like I don't need it 24/7, but you'll see this throughout, all the essays that I write is like you need to show up and be present. And if a person can't meet that bar in early dating, what are they going to be like 2 years, 3 years in when you're trying to make a life together and you have a need that you're expressing? If I had a need, I'm going to speak in the first person, a need I'm expressing, and I'm saying, it's really important to me that this happens for this reason, and it's just seen as a negotiable because it's too hard. It's not their priority. When you're building this third person, this third entity, this relationship, you both need to be very careful with one another.
So, because of all these experiences you have, and I could probably talk about a couple of the people you've been involved with who did various things that I would see as red flags immediately, like the person that um, told you that they were dealing with an ex who was very ill and children and a
Mhm.
job and responsibilities, and they wouldn't text and they wouldn't be there for you.
Yeah,
And to me, that would have, well, first of all, the fact that they had an ex who was very ill and children, right there, that would have made me nervous that they're not
yeah.
going to be able to meet me halfway because they have too many other things in their life. Do you go through that when you're looking at someone and say, I'm really interested in this person, I'm really attracted to them, but they have all these other life issues. How
Yeah.
can they make space in their life for us to develop this third entity of a relationship? Do you go through that? What do you tell
Great
yourself?
question. Yes. And my dear, like, advisor friends, in the case of that one, were like, Dana, maybe you shouldn't pursue this. Um, for me, connection is rare and increasingly rare. And also, I'm Gen X. I have an essay started. Head title is All Gen X Dating is Grief,
Yes.
because we're all dealing with situations. We're all dealing with grief, either um, something very trying, like you're talking about, someone very ill around them, or they have illness, or they are newly divorced, separated, they are widowed, they or they're people like me who have had a missing relationship pillar for a very long time. That's a different form of grief. It's a very background grief, and it's passive.
Loneliness too, right? Isn't it?
It's yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not lonely. I have a crazy full life,
Yes, I
but
don't mean from that viewpoint, but from somebody who really gets you, who you can
yeah,
count on, that you know is there for you, that has your back.
yeah. So that is like a chronic grief. That's the word I was looking for, versus an acute grief. And so, yes, when I meet someone who is in, I don't think I've met almost anyone in the 2.5 years since my last relationship ended. And even when I met him, he was still living with his wife and newly getting out of a divorce. Like, everyone is in a state of something. And so to me, I look to what the something is and how they're managing it. Um, I may be foolish. My heart is foolish. I always pull the fool, like the tarot, the fool card comes up for me all the time when relationship is involved, because my heart remains sort of willing to take
Optimistic.
chances and
Optimistic.
yes.
Yes.
And so in the case of that person, I was like, wow, he's being really transparent about it and very communicative about it. And frankly, like, I admire someone who doesn't shirk responsibility, someone who's showing up and making sure their kids feel stable and loved and supported through like an immense tragedy to come. Like, to me, that spoke to their character and their heart. And so uh, in that case of that person, it probably should have been a don't get involved, and in the end, it did end up becoming a deal breaker. Um, but I'm not sorry that I took a chance on someone who was just up against extraordinary circumstances. So
You know
I
what?
think we all have to gauge what circumstances we can live with.
I'm going to say, and I
Yeah.
apologize for interrupting. But I'm gonna
Mhm.
say, I don't think that you were foolish. I think you were brave. Because you know what bravery is, the definition of bravery? You're frightened, you're afraid, you don't know what you're
Mm.
launching yourself into, but you do it anyway because you just believe in yourself. And that's what you
Thank
did.
you.
So you were brave.
Thank
Maybe not
you.
anybody else could do that. Maybe somebody else would say, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
he's got this ill ex person that he's responsible for. He's got children who are dealing with the grief of potentially losing their parent. He has a job, he has a business, he has all these responsibilities. A lot of people would be too frightened to put their hope into it. And you did, you put your hope into it. It
Yeah.
could have turned out great. So, I admire you for trying. I really do. You were very brave.
Well, thank you. That's kind of you to say, and also like not many people acknowledge that. Um, when someone is being brave, emotionally brave, that's not really something our culture tends to value. So thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. I've always felt that about you, that you're very brave
Thank you.
because you keep putting yourself out there. I know a lot of people your age, a lot of Gen X, and they've gone through divorce, they've gone through very bad dating situations, and they just
Mm.
stop. They don't keep
Yeah.
trying. And I'm like I'll keep flinging myself against the brick wall. And maybe I'll never get it right, but at
Right.
least I'm in motion. I'm
Yeah.
you talk about finding air. That was the thing that your intention for this month is from
Yes.
the Crone cocktail hour. You said, I want my words to find air. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. And when
Yes.
you find air, there's no judgment with air. It's not right or wrong. It's just air. And that's what you're doing. So keep doing it, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know where find air. I don't know how that found its way in my head, but I mean, it's my thought about Substack right now, and I bet a lot of us are feeling this of like it's becoming such a crowded space. And I am trying to find ways to get just eyes and ears on my stories. So if the story spoke to you, if you're in the audience and this spoke to you, I would love if you would like it, and especially if you would restack it, because that signals to Substack that like, oh, people like this, and then they show it to more people. I feel like this is a story that will resonate with many. I also feel like this is a story that if it gets big enough that I'm going to have red pill men yelling at me, which has
W-
happened before, and
That
that's
means you're
fine. But
successful. That means you've done
yes,
a good job. The story you wrote about, I want men to stop, is the word oogle or ogling? What?
it's pronounced ogling. Apparently, I always
Ogling,
thought it was
ogling.
ogle, but apparently it's
Ogling,
ogling.
yeah. That story, you got a lot of feedback, pushback, because
Yeah,
men will see themselves in that story. And if they have any sense of conscience or any sense of what's right and wrong, they might feel bad about it. And the way when people feel bad is they criticize, they attack, they go on the
yeah.
attack. And that's what happened to you. So I would not be surprised if you are attacked for the story. What do you think?
I would, I would love to be, because that means people are responding to it, and more people are reading it and responding to it. So, if you hated this story, please restack it and say I'm an ugly whore who no one would ever want to sleep with. Which makes no sense, which is the beautiful part of fighting with red pillars, that they're like, "Yeah, you're a fat, ugly whore and no one would wanna fuck you."
But they
Well, am
would
I
if
a
they
whore
had the
then?
opportunity because nobody else wants them, right? Nobody else wants to fuck them, right? Isn't that
Right.
the irony of the whole situation? But
Yeah.
yes, so really,
Oh
I was
gosh.
going to ask you a question. What
Okay.
would you advise other people to do to deal with a commit bomb? But you know what? I think you, I can't put words in your mouth, but what I glean from this is that
Yeah.
you're saying you have to find what works for you. Is that the answer?
That's part of the answer. I think when you say, "How do you deal with a commit bomb?" I mean, ultimately, you leave or you are left. That's why it's a bomb.
Is that the
But
only
the way
2? There's no
that
no other options? It just blows up, that's it? There's no salvaging it?
um in the case of the bomb, yes, it tends to be unilateral, but I think the advice you're looking for is how to be mindful of if this is
Yeah,
happening
okay,
or not.
that's a
I
better
think that's,
question. Yes, better.
um, and I think the only way to know it is time. So my advice is if this happens and a suitor comes forward and is like, I've taken down my profiles. Here's my clean STI screening. Da 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 da. Um, if your heart is in it and you feel the same way about him, like, yes, enter a relationship, but be mindful of the time that has not yet passed, and be present, but also pay attention and note the signals and try as much as you can to do it without a sense of anxiety. Remember that someone you have only known for a few weeks or days or even months is not fully a boyfriend, a partner yet. This is someone who is still early, and you are still figuring each other out. It's possible to start that way and have it not work out, not because it was a commit bomb, but because you discover you're not compatible. Um, but if it is truly a commit bomb, a guy who's coming in and is like, I want access to everything really quickly because reasons, um, that will become clear quite quickly. Um, and to just try not to um, blame yourself and to look back and blame yourself and your anxiety for it. That's not, it's
It's
not
not your
you.
fault. It's
It
not
is
your
not
fault.
on you.
No,
Uh, um, a man in crisis um, who's spiraling out and I think that's what causes a commit bomb a lot is that all Gen X dating is grief. And when a man can't deal with that grief, a lot of times they need access to a woman because that's who they go to, not just for like sex, but for emotional support and comfort. Um,
connectivity and yes,
provide it. Yeah, provide, like listen and hear what they're going through, but don't get dragged in and become their unpaid therapist.
right. They're
Because
don't listen to their trauma bombing, right?
yeah, exactly. Try to maintain when you're, two people building this third entity that becomes your relationship. Try to, as much as possible, as you're experiencing all the sparks and the fun of this new relationship, to really keep your feet on the ground in you and to eh, keep a really close eye to how he's building that connection with you.
The third
Um,
part. Yes.
yes. And make sure that when you put, like, I would almost say intentionally put a little weight on that relationship, speak to a need and see
Test.
and see
Test.
if he can hold it for you. And
Do a
if
little
he can't,
test.
yeah, if he can't make you feel secure in that, like it's probably not something that is going to be able to take on weight unless you're willing to carry most of it, and that rarely ends well. So,
Yeah.
how's that
Perfect.
for
Wonderful.
oh, good?
Wonderful. You know
Uh,
what? I had so many questions. I was only able to ask a few. Plus, I read all your questions. I some of mine dovetailed with yours, but I feel bad because I had another 10 or 20 questions I could have asked you about this essay. So
oh my gosh. Well, I talk a lot, so it's hard
no,
to
no, no.
get through that
Thank
many
you.
questions with me.
So honored to be here with you. I really appreciate the opportunity and it was
Oh, Karen,
wonderful.
I'm so grateful that you stepped in for Lawrence. Just so you all know, for folks who joined late, Lawrence is very sick today. He's home, hopefully sleeping it off. I hope he's back tomorrow. We have This Will Hold joining us, a guest I've been very much looking forward to speaking with, and I know Lawrence would be an invaluable part of that conversation because we're going to be talking about election fraud. We're going to be going political again. So everyone, cross your fingers that Lawrence will be back tomorrow. We shall see. I know I just am getting over a miserable cold, and it took over 2 weeks. I still have a little bit
Oh,
of
it
it
seemed longer.
left.
It seemed longer. And you know what? As someone who's been here every single day for almost for every single day, I love I love how the direction of the Daily Whatever is moving. I love that Lawrence has his Monday with Aiden
Oh,
and
yes.
they bring in guests. I love your Thursday. I'm very much looking forward to this Thursday. You have an amazing guest coming. I
Yeah,
cannot
Ariel Meadows
wait. Yeah,
Stallings, she's
I'm
gonna
so
be
excited
great.
about that. And I love when you and Lawrence have your conversations like this. It was meant to be just you and Lawrence talking about your essay today. I really love when you do that because I think it really builds a well-rounded experience for everybody that comes.
That's the goal is that, like, we found that we were, like, um, super over-indexing on political guests, which we've loved all of our guests who've come on, but I was like, this was never really intended to be all politics all the time. It's a whatever show. It's culture, it's politics, it's creative endeavors. And so
Romance, love.
we want to bring in all kinds of guests. And so um, it's giving Lauren the two programming days, it gives Lawrence a chance to dive deeper into queer-focused issues on Mondays, and me on Thursdays diving into more feminist-focused issues. It's super fun to have the opportunity to do that on the show, and
I'm
to
glad. I'm glad you're
and then we
doing
each
it.
respite each other a day, because a 5-day-a-week programming is it's intense. So
Yes,
it works out well in
yes.
both directions. Oh my gosh, there's something happening Sunday that I haven't announced live yet.
Oh, please do, please do. I wanna hear
Um,
it.
you probably know Kiki Walter from the
Yes, yes,
Memoirist.
yes.
So the Memoirist, it's been a year or two now, published the Memoirist quarterly. I was in it, and they took a hiatus, but they're back. They just published the Memoirist Quarterly Volume 2.
Oh, good.
I wrote one of the essays in it. And so Kiki, it's going to be co-sponsored. Kiki and I are doing this. The Daily Whatever Show and the Memoirist are sponsoring kind of an online release party. And we have 3 other authors featured in the book who are joining us. Christina Jumper, Gentry Bronson, and Erin O'Brien are
Oh my
and
gosh,
the
I love
5 of
all of
us.
them.
Yeah, so Kiki and I will be on the full hour, and we're going to bring each of these other writers on to talk about
What a
their
brilliant
essays.
idea. What time is
Sort
that
of,
gonna be on Sunday?
it's going to be at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern.
4 PM Eastern,
Yeah,
okay.
I need to go make a graphic for it and go promote it. But yeah, we're going to celebrate the release of the book. I think I got a notification. I believe mine just arrived at my door. So I'm really excited. I haven't read the essays by the other writers yet, but I will. And we will be talking about our memoirs. So,
Is this free for everybody to attend?
oh yeah,
Or
this is just
okay.
a open for all.
Okay,
Um,
well, I'm gonna start advertising it so that people are aware of it, because this is something you don't wanna miss. Are you still gonna do your salon on Sunday, or is this
yes. So the
okay, what
salon
time
will
is your
be at
salon?
1 p.m. Eastern, and the memoirist one will be at 4 p.m. Eastern. So I'll get a little
Wow,
break.
you're gonna be a busy girl on Sunday,
I am. It is going to be a very busy Sunday, and
but you're up for it. It'll be great.
I'll
So,
figure it out.
congratulations on being in the second book, and
Thank
for
you.
getting together with Kiki. I think it's a perfect complement, the 2 of you together.
Yeah, she's been on the Daily Whatever show before, and she's
I've
awesome.
yeah,
So,
she's amazing, yeah.
yes,
Oh.
it's an anthology, Jason. To answer your question
Hi,
uh,
Jason.
in
Hi,
the chat.
Jason.
Yes. Hi, Jason. Thank you all for joining. I think experiment answered. It was a bit smaller today when I set it up to be subscribers only for the Daily Whatever show instead of everyone. So I'll probably set it back to everyone.
It's
But we
okay.
still have
I'm just
almost
happy
100
to be
people
here
here.
with you, and I wanna thank Yanni. He stepped in at
Yes.
the
Thank
last
you,
minute.
Yanni.
Thank you, Yanni. And tomorrow,
Dude.
I'm still gonna be moderating the chat as usual, but I have a doctor's appointment at 10 AM, so for part of it, I'm gonna be on my phone, which doesn't allow me to be as aggressive about posting links as I'm normally very aggressive
Good
about
to know.
links. And I will say hello to everybody because I'll have my phone for part of I will be there at 9 AM, and then I have to walk out to the car. And Yanni has promised to back me up on that as well. So thank you, Yanni. I owe you a big one.
And Yanni says, I'll be back to screaming at people on YouTube.
Okay,
Love you
great.
for it, Yanni.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Love you
All
lots.
right. I'm going to
Yanni.
go get my kids off to school. Thank
Okay.
you all for being here today. Love you, mean it.
Thank
Bye.
you, Dana. Bye.
Bye.